Hey everyone, so today I wanted to chat a little bit about the deal breakers I would have had when I bought my house here in Tipperary. A lot of the things are going to be no-brainers, but I really think it's worthwhile to go through them. And if these things are not the main criteria on your list, you need to start having a think about why the things are on your list that you're ruling out houses for. So the first thing I want to chat to you about is water. Obviously, it's a basic human right. We all need it, but there are loads of different ways you can get water into an old house. When it comes to water, you're really going to have either a well, or you're going to have a public scheme that's set up in the community, or you're going to have a gravity-fed water tank. All of these are perfectly reasonable options. They work fine. They're enough to get you into a house once you make sure that you just have water there in the first place to get you started. The next super important thing for me when I was getting my house was sewerage. It has to go somewhere, and it's really important, especially when you want to move into a house quite quickly, that you have somewhere to take care of your waste. You're really going to have basically an underground hole that it fills up into, or you're going to have an above ground treatment system, or you're going to be on mains. But main sewerage, even in small towns, isn't a given. So expect a septic tank, wish for a septic tank, and if you get one in a house and it's relatively cheap, thank God that you have it, to be honest. So can we talk about roofs? I think it's safe to say they're a really, really important thing. They were an important thing for me anyway. The most important thing is that it's as watertight as possible. I don't really mind what they look like. If I had had corrugated iron on my roof, it really wouldn't have bothered me. I think it looks kind of cute. Asbestos slates, they're fine once you don't really interfere with them too much. The best case scenario is that you have a roof that's been put on relatively recently and your timbers are good. The most important thing for me for sure is that the timbers are good, because that's the expensive thing to replace. You don't really mind reslating it, getting someone in to do that, but if you have to take the whole thing down to the wall plate level, put it all back on again, you're looking at a really, really big expense. So roofs are key. So we talk a lot about electricity in the present, but one of my deal breakers for sure was whether a house had electricity in the past. This is a big thing. If someone has went to the effort to pay for all the poles to be put up the whole way to your door, and they've paid to get all the connections put in, sure, you might need your interior of your house rewired, but you're not going back to the electricity board and paying them to put up all the poles again. This is a really, really big thing. Don't worry so much about the inside of the house. You can get that done. It doesn't cost that much, but getting them poles up is something you really don't want the hassle of doing when you get a new house. So I talk a lot about heating houses when you move into them. I think people are very, very swayed by this, by industry professionals. I think you need to be very, very aware of what you're willing to put up with. With me, when I got my house, I had chimneys, I had open fires in some of the smaller rooms, and what I did was I got in, I cleaned the chimneys, I made sure that everything was okay at roof level on some of them, and I lit the fires and I stayed warm. And my little rooms that I lived in the beginning, I'll never forget them. Like, one of them is my bathroom now, and I still sit in it and I think, I remember when I used to work here, and I remember when I used to sleep here, and you're never ever going to forget those memories. Another deal breaker for me for sure was land. Now, I'm not being greedy here. I didn't want the world, but I set my sights on an acre when I got my place. And I think if you can do that, that's not the worst thing in the world to do. Some of these houses that had old farmyards and stuff with them, they tend to be sold off, and the cottages go one way, the farmyards stay with the farmer that bought the land. And sometimes you can end up with this pokey little yard that's less than a quarter of an acre, and you've tractors coming in and out of the yard beside you that don't even belong to you. And this is something I think that can make life quite uncomfortable in the countryside. So aim for a nice little bit of land, try and get it spread out fairly evenly around your house, and it's going to make for a way quieter life for you in the future. I know we all love a good outbuilding. I for sure do. So I think that was definitely one of my criteria. I wanted some sort of a little farmyard, any little cottages, any little you know, chicken sheds, anything really. You know, it's going to add potential for you to expand if you need to. If, like me, you work from home, you have the chance of having a little office. And I mean, God, lads, the way the housing crisis is going at the moment, if any of your family ever gets to a stage that they don't have anywhere to live, if the only thing standing in your way was getting planning permission to convert the usage of the building, and you knew you could give your family a home, like, it's a no-brainer. Outbuildings are the way to go. So there we go. 7 deal breakers that I had when I was buying my house, filmed on location in the bottom of my garden. You're so lucky, lads. If you have any questions, let me know below. Next one I'm going to do in this series is a set of non-deal breakers. So things that I don't really find that important, but I know so many people have them as like really, really big criteria in their searches. So we're going to go through them next time. If they're not linked at the end of this video, then check back soon and they'll be up in a little while.